All right, in this video, we're going to be simplifying radical expressions. It was requested from a subscriber. Thank you very much for the request. And if you're new to the channel, please leave a comment, like the video. And if you have something that you want me to go over to help you in your classes, math is hard, get the support you need. Just let me know, I'd help you out. Okay, so square root of 5x squared times 5 times the square root of 25x cubed. Square root of 25, boom, right away you should be, if you're at this level of math, you should be looking at that right away and saying that breaks down to a 5. So, over here, x squared, if you square root x squared, you're just going to be left with x, right? X squared, if you square root it, these are inverse operations. They cancel each other out, leaving you with just x. So because of that, I'm square rooting x squared here. I'm going to be left with the square root of 5 times x. My bar does not reach over the x here. So x squared with the radical over the top of it just breaks down to an x. Times 5, nothing's changed. This is about to change on me right here, okay? I'm going to write this out the long way for you, though. This is x cubed. So really, what it is x squared times another x, right? There's 3 of them. If we take the square root of x squared and the square root of 25, we're going to be left with 5. And the square root of x squared is x. So what we did just now is we took the radical over top of this part only and broke that down, leaving me still with the radical over this x here. So this is what I've broken down after my very first step. Okay? Exponent of 2 with the radical above breaks down just to an x. Nothing changes. Square root of 25 is 5. X squared, square root breaks down to an x. Still have it over here. Now, what can we multiply together? Well, that 5 can multiply by that 5, making 25. X can multiply by x, making x squared. Nothing's going to change there. Nothing's going to change here. Final answer. Where did 25 come from? Boom times boom. Where did x squared come from? And square root of 5, square root of x, needs to stay within the radical because we can't simplify that down anymore. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Let's go over another example very similar to it. A little bit of magic. Okay, now we've got this one. Negative 5 times square root of 10 r squared times 2 square root of 10 r squared. Let's just multiply those together like right away. Just get that out of the way. Negative 5 times 2 makes negative 10. Great, okay. Now all we're left with is right there. Square root of r squared. Those cancel each other. Square root of r squared. Cancel each other. Just leaving me with 2 r's that are no longer underneath the radical. So that's r times r, which would turn into a pirate's favorite letter. R squared. Okay? So we've used these r's. We simplified it down to everything we can. All we really have left, we've used the 2, we used the negative 5. So now you have the square root of 10 times the square root of 10. Let's think about that. The square root of 10 times the square root of 10. So basically, can't we just say the square root of 10 squared? Because it's times itself? Yeah, of course you can do that. And squaring something and square rooting something are inverse operations. They cancel each other out. So now we're left with negative 10r squared times 10. And a negative times a positive makes a negative, and r squared gets brought down. And just like that, you've simplified another radical. All right, with a little bit of magic, we can find our third and final problem. All right, so now we've got this problem here. I'm going to write it out a little bit differently just so you guys can see something. Square root of 4, and this is times the square root of x squared. Just splitting those up because it might help you see something. 2 times the square root of 5 times the square root of x squared. So we should all understand that 5 times x squared can also be written as the square root of 5 times the square root of x squared, just separating them out. And why I wanted to do that is so that you can see that these are going to cancel each other right away. Okay, so just by doing that, I've eliminated just a bunch of silliness that can go away almost immediately. Now the square root of 4, okay, square root of 4 is going to come out as 2. Square root of 4 is 2. So now all we have on top is 2 because there's nothing else over here for the numerator. We have a 2 in the denominator times the square root of 5. Well, just like we had matching numerators and denominators here, we got that same thing going on here. So voila, they disappear. Now, when this occurs, a lot of times my students, they're like, well, what goes up on top? If there's nothing that goes up on top, you throw a 1 up there. Okay, so we've got the 1 up there. Now, there is a thing that we need to understand about algebra. You cannot have a radical down here in your denominator. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of it down here and push it up there. How do you do that? We're going to multiply everything by the value of 1. But we're going to write the value of 1 in a special way. Because now, hopefully you realize, the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, or in other words, the square root of 5 times itself, hey, cancels each other out, leaving you with just 5 on bottom. So those two together would create just a 5 on the bottom, also known as the denominator, and 1 times square root of 5 on top would become the square root of 5. 1 times anything is itself. Let's break it all down, make sure we understand what I did real quick. First off, I saw, hey, we've got 2x squareds. They're exactly the same, and they're both underneath the radical. Therefore, I can say, sayonara, sucker, right away. Then I wrote it out here, so you're only looking at what's left over. Square root of 4, that should stand out as a perfect square root to anybody that's at this level of math, so just change it right away to a 2. That 2 gets brought down. Square root of 5 also gets brought down. 2 over 2 just makes a 1. So we removed them and put a 1 up on top. You're not allowed to have radicals down in your denominator. So we multiplied by the value of 1. Hopefully you all understand square root of 5 over square root of 5. 8 over 8. 23.2 over 23.2. All of these are just values of 1. So if you multiply this times 1, it's not going to change at all. But by doing that, you're eliminating the radical on the bottom and pushing it up to your numerator on top. Really, this skill comes down to practice. You want to start to recognize things, see things where you can start to remove it. Okay, when you notice, hey, we got a match, we can eliminate right away, they start to become easier and easier and easier as you go. Okay, practice them, check the back of your textbooks to see if you're getting them right. A lot of times what I will tell you is my students will struggle, and then when they start to look at the answers in the back of the book, they realize they're not that far off from the correct answer, and they're able to figure out where they went wrong and what adjustments they need to make to get the correct solutions. All right. Thank you for tuning into this video. Again, please leave a like, a subscription if you haven't already subscribed. And if you ever are stuck on anything in math, doesn't matter the level that you're asking me to help you with, you shoot it my way. I'll do my best to get you a video that will help support you so that you can ace your upcoming test. Study hard and good luck on anything coming in the future.